Imagine a world where empires tremble at the whisper of a woman's name. Imagine a queen whose beauty and intellect could sway the fate of nations. Imagine a goddess among mortals who would choose death over submission. This is the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, a tale of passion, betrayal, and the collapse of a golden age. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from history lovers across the globe. It's truly beautiful to share these lost stories with you. Cleopatra VII. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE in the city of Alexandria, the jewel of Hellenistic Egypt. A descendant of Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's generals, Cleopatra was born into a dynasty known for incest, palace intrigue, and a throne constantly drenched in blood. Unlike her predecessors, Cleopatra was different. She wasn't just a ruler. She was a thinker, a strategist, a polyglot, fluent in at least 9 languages. And she was the first of her line to actually learn and speak Egyptian. From an early age, she was trained in philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, politics, and diplomacy. Her education was tailored for rulership. She could debate philosophers, consult priests, and engage generals. Cleopatra grew up not just to wear a crown, but to command the weight of it. The Ptolemaic dynasty was a dangerous place. Brothers poisoned brothers, sisters plotted against siblings. Blood ties were both a bond and a blade. The royal court was filled with eunuchs, scribes, foreign advisors, and mercenaries, all whispering secrets. Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy Auletes, was not a loved ruler. Nicknamed the flute player for his obsession with music, he was seen as weak, indulgent, and depended on bribes to keep Rome's favor. During his reign, he exiled his own daughter, Berenice IV, when she opposed his alliance with Rome. When he returned to power, he had Berenice executed, beheaded, while Cleopatra, still a teenager, watched in silence. This was Cleopatra's first real lesson in power. It was brutal, it was merciless, and it never blinked. When Ptolemy XIII died, Cleopatra was just 18 years old. She was named co-regent with her 10-year-old brother Ptolemy XIII, and to maintain the appearance of dynastic tradition, she was forced to marry him. But Cleopatra was no puppet. She ruled independently, her face alone appeared on coins. A powerful statement. She styled herself as the new Isis, the goddess of motherhood and magic. But her independence angered her brother's advisors, especially the eunuch Pothinus and the general Achilles, who plotted to remove her. In 48 BCE, she was forced into exile. She fled to Syria, but she didn't hide. She raised an army, preparing to reclaim her birthright. And as fate would have it, at that very moment, another power entered Alexandria, Rome. Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria pursuing his rival Pompey the Great during Rome's civil war. But Ptolemy Tidid's men had already killed Pompey, a brutal decapitation meant to curry Caesar's favor. Instead, Caesar was repulsed. Meanwhile, Cleopatra planned one of the boldest moves in history. She had herself wrapped in a linen sack or a Persian carpet, smuggled past guards, and presented before Caesar. Cleopatra was 21. Caesar was 52. But their meeting was electric. She spoke to him not as a supplicant, but as an equal. Caesar was intrigued. The two became lovers. He promised to restore her throne. A civil war erupted in the streets of Alexandria between Caesar's forces and those of Ptolemy III. For weeks, the city burned. Temples collapsed. The great library was partially destroyed. But Caesar and Cleopatra emerged victorious. Ptolemy III drowned in the Nile. With her brother dead, Cleopatra married her even younger brother Ptolemy XIV, but ruled in truth alone. She bore Caesar a child, Caesarion, or Little Caesar. She traveled to Rome in 46 BCE, living in a villa outside the city, likely across the Tiber. Romans were uneasy. Cleopatra was seen as a dangerous enchantress, a foreign queen with too much influence. Yet Caesar honored her. He built a statue of her inside the temple of Venus Genetrix, equating her with divine ancestry. But in 44 BCE, Caesar was murdered. Cleopatra was devastated. Rome turned hostile. She fled with Caesarion back to Egypt. There, she had her brother husband poisoned and named Caesarion co-ruler. She was now truly alone at the helm, Queen of the Nile. Caesar's death plunged Rome into chaos. His heir Octavian vied for control with Mark Antony, Caesar's most trusted general. Antony summoned Cleopatra to Tarsus in 41 BCE to explain her loyalty. Cleopatra arrived on a golden barge, sails billowing with perfume, musicians playing flutes, and her dressed as the goddess Isis. Antony was conquered instantly. He followed her to Alexandria. For months, they drank, hunted, threw lavish parties, and debated philosophy. She bore him twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene. Later, a third child, Ptolemy Philadelphus. But Cleopatra wasn't just in love, she was securing Egypt's future. She funded Antony's campaigns, and in return, Antony declared her children rulers of eastern lands. He even recognized Caesarion as Caesar's true heir. This alarmed Octavian. Turning tide, Rome declares war. In 32 BCE, Octavian read Antony's will before the Roman Senate. In it, Antony requested burial in Alexandria beside Cleopatra. A scandal. Octavian declared war, not on Antony, but on Cleopatra herself. Their fleets clashed in 31 BCE at the Battle of Actium. Cleopatra's ships were enormous and luxurious, but less maneuverable. In the chaos, Cleopatra's ship fled, and Antony followed. Their retreat doomed the battle. Octavian's forces prevailed. Cleopatra and Antony returned to Alexandria, their power crumbling. Cleopatra began preparing her mausoleum, a massive structure of limestone and gold filled with riches, the tomb of a goddess. Rumors swirled that she had hidden treasures there, ready to burn them rather than let Rome have them. She tried to negotiate with Octavian. She even tested poisons on prisoners to find a painless death. In 30 BCE, as Octavian approached, Cleopatra spread rumors of her suicide. Hearing this, Antony stabbed himself with a sword. But he didn't die immediately. He was brought to Cleopatra, bleeding in her mausoleum. He died in her arms. She was now completely alone. Octavian entered Alexandria. Cleopatra, regal to the end, met him in her palace. He offered her survival. As a prisoner, she refused. On August 12th, 30th BCE, Cleopatra, dressed in her royal linen robes, adorned herself with jewels, and laid on a golden couch in her tomb beside Antony's body. She may have used poison hidden in a hairpin, or perhaps an asp. The cobra was smuggled in a fig basket. When Octavian's men broke in, she was dead. 2 of her maids were dying beside her. The asp, if there was one, was never found. Caesarion, now 17, was executed on Octavian's orders. Her children with Antony were taken to Rome. Cleopatra Selene was married into royalty, eventually becoming Queen of Mauritania. Egypt was annexed. Octavian became Augustus, Rome's first emperor. Cleopatra's death marked the end of Hellenistic Egypt, the end of pharaohs, of gods walking among mortals. Alexandria became a Roman city. Cleopatra has been remembered as a seductress, a schemer, a goddess, and a victim. Shakespeare immortalized her, Hollywood glamorized her. But the real Cleopatra was a leader, ambitious, brilliant, and complex. She ruled for over 20 years in an age where women had no voice. She outlived rivals, survived betrayals, and dared to love men who shaped history. Her name became eternal. If you've watched this far, you're one of the few who truly appreciate the depth of history. Take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. This channel thrives on stories like Cleopatra's, human, haunting, and heroic. What would you have done in her place? Died in defiance or lived in chains?